Let's start rolling the feet. All right, pick a foot to start with, doesn't matter which. Roll, come back here. Okay, so inside of the foot, right into that arch. So notice I'm going between the ball of the foot and the heel of the foot, right in that space. And then right up the middle, so you can kind of see that better from this angle, back and forth. And then let's just show that outer edge there. So from the front, you can kind of see how that ball's sticking out to the side. So again, heel of the foot to ball of the foot, all the way in that space. And so if it was the bottom of your hand, we'd be rolling the palm, right? And we want to breathe as we do this, okay? Inhale, exhale. Start to connect to the breathing, especially if you just finished Tommy's class and that heart rate, that breathing rate is up. Try to slow it down a little bit here. How fast you go back and forth, up to you. How deep into the tissues you dig, completely up to you. Let's keep going back and forth here for another 30 seconds. And just paying attention to tight spots in that space. And we're going to go back and target those tight spots on this foot next. Okay. So again, inhales and exhales. Good. So now we're going to do the what I call polka dotting. So those spaces in that foot that you just found that were just a little more point tender, I want you to find that space, push down. So you're going to kind of rock forward on the ball, hold, and then rock off. And you're going to move it to a new spot. Rock forward over the ball, hold, and then rock back. So if you don't have any super tender tight spots, you can kind of just do this all over the space that we just rolled, or I call it polka dotting. So we're just finding spots within the foot, rock back. And the last thing I want you to do is if you find a tight spot, hold, maybe add a little movement. So so you're just going to wiggle my toes. That's stretching the fascia on the bottom of the foot. So what we're doing is a pin and stretch. We're pinning the tight spots and then we're stretching the fascia out of those spaces. And pin and stretch. Good. Just a little bit longer on this foot. Good. And shake out that foot. Let's go on to the next one. So starting with the rolling, okay? Inside of the foot, right in that arch, and maybe you're turning your big toe down a little bit. Pinky toe comes up, kind of dig into those spaces, right up the middle. And then that outer edge, you know, have that ball kind of sticking out. Really want to get into those spaces on the outer edge of my foot. All right, so we're going to roll here for another 30 seconds, and then we'll polka dot that foot. All right, polka dot the second foot. And then we'll spend just a little bit longer going back and doing whatever you need on each foot. Okay, remember the breath here. Good, so now polka dot. And if you have that wall, you can use your wall certainly for balance. So I'm going to push down, hold, I'm going to rock forward a little bit. If you have that wall, maybe gives you a little bit more support, you can rock or dig into a little bit deeper into that space or not. So push down, hold, rock forward, using a wall or not using a wall. And on those polka dots, if you can try to keep your heel stationary and just rock forward. We don't want that heel to lift up. Just keeping the heel down, rocking forward. Heel down, rocking forward. Good. And add some toe movement if you haven't done that yet. Push down, hold, move the toes. Push down, hold, wiggle your toes. Good, and just a couple more. Good, and shake out that foot. So I want you to just finish between the 2 feet, maybe a little bit of time on both. Just a little less than a minute here. I'm gonna finish up rolling the feet. And then we will stretch. Actually, no, we're gonna come down the floor, roll the calves, and then we're gonna stretch the feet and the calves. Okay, so whether it's rolling, polka dotting, whatever feels good on both feet here. Just about 30 more seconds using that ball. Wiggle the toes. Remember, we want to try to stretch that fascia. If this was the bottom of your foot, we're just trying to stretch all that soft tissue. Should feel it into the ankle. So if this is my ankle, you might be feeling into the ankle, into the calf as well. Go ahead, shake out both feet and make your way down to the floor. Now, I sent out a second email. I hope everybody got it. But if you have a small pillow, you can use that here. We'll use it throughout class, and it's an option. If you don't have it, you don't absolutely need it. But it might help to sit on the pillow here as we do these calf rolls next. So what we're going to focus on first is that outside strip, kind of up and down. You feel that Achilles right here, and then the ankle bone. So you want to travel up that so the tissue gets a little bit softer. And we're going to target that outside space here, right along that fibula, that outer leg bone, right? So I can bend my knee, straighten my knee, and that ball just kind of travels up and down, right next to that long outside leg bone. All right, so that's one area of the calf. And then that big gastroc, that bigger calf muscle, I'm gonna put the ball right in the middle, do a little side to side, a little bit around. And then I can turn my big toe in, hold. See, I'm just moving my ankle and my toe, breathe. I'm targeting this big calf muscle right here. All right, and sitting up on the pillow just gives you a little bit easier angle to work with. And again, movement through the ankle joint. And then the last area you want to work on is just pulling that gastroc kind of to the outside and putting the ball where your fingers are, just moving that bigger outer muscle out of the way so we can get underneath to the soleus. So you're just going to pull in here and put the ball right in that space. All right, that soleus is the one that does that ankle flexion, pulling the toes towards our shin. As we walk, we want to keep that mobility and lose it as we age. Big breaths. I'm going to spend about 30 more seconds here on this calf, and then we'll switch to the other side. Good, and just switch. So on this side, again, we started with that outer edge. So feeling where the Achilles and that ankle bone are, and then work your way up to that outside where the muscle tissue is. But we're not, when we roll, when we do self-myofascial release, we're not rolling the bones or the joints, we're just rolling the muscles, okay? The fascia surrounds muscles, and that's what we're targeting, okay? We're just doing a little bent knee, straight knee, finding that space, maybe a little bit back and forth in that space on that outside edge. Good, and then right in the middle, right, that's getting that big gastroc, and maybe a little bit with the toes pointed in, also getting that big gastroc muscle. So pay attention, maybe one foot, obviously one ankle, one calf might have more limited mobility than the other, right? So try to kind of target where those tight spots in the calf might be, and if they're leading or kind of leading into that limited ankle mobility. And don't forget your breath. Good, and then we're gonna say same on the side, take that big gastroc, pull it to the inside, and then where my fingers end up with that big muscle kind of pulled out of the way, I'm gonna put the ball right in the middle there, going back and forth. All right, push down, hold, really move the ankle as much as you can here, especially those toes to the shin, that flexion. And breathe. Just about 30 more seconds here. Good. And next we're gonna stand up and stretch the feet and the calves. We're rolling the fascia here. Next up, we're gonna try to stretch the muscles in these spaces. Good. Okay, going on up, you can put the ball to the side for now. And we're gonna use your wall here. Put that camera down so you can kind of see my feet, because I want you to focus on placement of the feet. So I got hands on the wall. Don't have to have hands on the wall, but if you have it, gives you a little bit, allows you to dig a little bit deeper into the stretch. So notice my feet, all 10 toes are pointed forward. I'm not opened up here like in warrior, straight ahead, okay? My hands are right on my shoulder and I'm putting a little pressure on the wall. But most importantly, I'm pushing that heel down. So I'm pushing the heel down to the floor. I'm pushing my hip forward towards the wall. And so I'm getting kind of almost, it's not a 90-degree angle, but if you can imagine pushing forward with the hip, right? Pushing forward with the hip towards the wall and pushing down with the heel into the floor. Creating a little bit of a 90-degree force here. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Now you're going to take that back foot and come up on the toes as if you're going to take off running. Hold there. So think about your heel going up to the ceiling, your hip still pressing forward. And take 3 big breaths here. Good. Now we're going to put that heel back on the floor. Again, hip goes to the wall, heel goes to the floor. Now we're going to take that knee and bring it down, bending a little bit, kind of reaching your knee for the toes. And hold 3 breaths here. Good. Now we're going to come up. We're going to tuck those toes. Now, as well as the hip reaching forward, we're going to take the front of the ankle right through this space. Kick it forward towards the wall and hold. 3 big inhales and exhales. Good. And shake out that side. Same thing on the other side. So we start with the heel down, knee straight, hands to the wall, heel to the floor. Inhale, exhale. Good. And then take it off like you're going to run, right? Heel up to the ceiling, hips still going forward. Keep pressing toes into the floor, hips forward. Good. And heel back down. Hip forward, heel down. But now we bend the knee. So just bending that knee just a little bit. You'll feel that stretch deeper in the calf, more towards the Achilles. Keep that hip pressing towards the wall. And 2 more breaths. And we're going to come up, tuck the toes, press forward. Okay. Toes tucked, pressing forward, stretching the front of the ankle, still reaching the hip forward, but now pressing the front of the ankle forward as well. 2 more breaths. Good, and shake that out. All right, so we're gonna stay on the wall. We're gonna roll the hips, okay? Roll a little bit just around the whole hip complex into the lower glute, upper glute. Maybe we're gonna do a little bit of that high outer thigh today. So You think about where your hip bone is, going straight down, right, to your knee. That's the big, thick band called the IT band. And we don't really want to roll that. That's a very fibrous tissue. We're not going to really change the breakdown of that. We don't want to, but the area in front of it and the area behind it. So this is your hamstring, your lateral hamstring. This is your lateral quad. So we can target those spaces on either side of the IT band. So easiest spot to find first, try to find the easiest way to show you guys. Okay, so if I'm here at my ball and socket joint, I'm going to go to the front and a little bit down in that ball and socket joint. So now I can just put that foot forward and roll a little bit. My knee is bent. I'm just finding this space right in here. So notice I'm above that IT band, which runs here, right? Targeting that top space where that vastus lateralis, okay, is that outer quad section here, feeds into the TFL, and TFL is right in this space, okay? So you can go back, up and down from hip to knee. You can go back and forth just a little bit if you're finding it's kind of ropey, tighty in there. You can kind of take that ball back and forth just a little bit over that tight space. All right, just big inhales and exhales. Good, and let's try that space on the other leg before we move up, right? So we're targeting again that lateral vastus lateralis here in front of the IT band. My IT band runs up here. This is my lateral hamstring. I'm doing this front space. All right, up and down from hip to knee, and a little back and forth if that feels okay. And keep that breath working, and you can just press and hold too. If you find a tight spot, you can just certainly pin the ball in between your leg and the wall and just breathe. Good. Now we're going to move up. So here's my hip ball and socket joint. Again, we're never going to roll the joint. We're going to roll around. All right, so that kind of imagine your ball and socket is the middle of your target, and you're going to roll all the spaces around your target. So if your ball and socket was the bullseye, you're trying not to hit the bullseye. You're trying to circle that bullseye with that ball. Right? Rolling. So it takes a little kind of dopping into the hips and then standing up, trying to find the space. Big inhales and exhales. And just alternate between sides, however feels good to you. All right, so we haven't really hit the glutes so much yet. We're going to do that next. Again, we're targeting just that space around the hip. Now, next space I want to take you into. Let me go this way. All right, so ball and socket joint, top of your pelvis, right? This space in here, I want you to find that. Right? If you find a tight spot, push and hold. Take that inside arm up and reach away as you press into that space. So now we're doing a pin and stretch. In each spot, take at least 2, probably 3 breaths to try to release that space. So again, ball and socket joint, top of my pelvis. I have it right in here. I'm gonna roll around. I always have a tight spot on this side, so I'm gonna hold it. Inhale, exhale. If you're doing that reach, it's inhale on the up, exhale on the over. Good. So now let's find the glutes. Okay, so like we've done many, many times, lower glute, upper glute, we're going to start with that lower glute space. So finding it right there, going a little in to out. So when I say in, I mean the tailbone out to the hip space, right? You can do it straight across in a horizontal pattern, maybe a little vertical pattern. Again, we don't want to roll that ball and socket joint. You'll feel it as that ball kind of digs into there. Just roll around it. Roll next to that ball and socket joint as we go in and out. Okay. And continue your breath, just switching between the two sides, however works best for you. If you find a tight spot, you can certainly press, hold, and even here, you can reach up and a little bit over and make it a little stretching into the low glute space. You can try out, see how it feels. Good. We're just going to do about 30 more seconds here in the low glute space. Okay, these are glute max. Good. Okay. So now high glute space. Again, finding that bony landmark, which is the top of your pelvis. That's your upper edge. And then going down just a couple inches, so the width of the ball. So see the height of my ball plus almost a width and a half of my ball from that high, or sorry, from the ridge of my pelvis down. So I'm going to work that from here all the way into the tailbone. We're not going to roll the tailbone itself, right? That's our other landmark. We're not going to roll that itself, just next to it. So you can nuzzle the ball right next to it and work it out to the outside, and we'll move through that space however feels best to you. So we're going to spend 2 minutes here in the high glute space, okay? And obviously just working one side to the other, alternate on your own. Don't have to do it on my cue, just do what feels good to you. Okay, so this is the last space that we're going to roll. And then for the rest of the class, we're just going to stretch. And again, we're going to focus on all muscles that we've already rolled, of course. Okay, because we want to try to loosen up the fascia a little bit and then get those muscles moving underneath the fascia and try to get that space released. Big inhales and exhales. Again, just alternating between sides and try to kind of find that rim of the pelvis and see if you can get that ball right underneath that space. Big inhales and exhales. Good, and just about 30 more seconds here. Right, this is where you can pin and stretch. So if I have a spot here, taking my inside arm, the arm next to the wall, reaching up and extending out, feeling that stretch out of the hip into the side of the body. Remember, it's all connected. So you have tightness in the hips, you're going to have tightness in that side body through the ribs and middle of your back. Good. Okay. So you put the ball to the side. Make sure you have your pillow if you like that. Also your yoga strap or your towel, either one works. Okay. And we're going to come down, and here you can again use your pillow if you want. So we're going to come down into a half kneel. So I have one knee down, one leg up. So if you like that little padding underneath the knee, go ahead and use that. Tuck your back toe right now. We're going to have a little extra added stretch, right? A little bonus stretch at the bottom of the foot here. Now my front foot, see how my foot is a little bit forward of my knee. That's because we're going to kind of sink forward a little bit. So I want you to start in this position. And then see at that down knee side, you're going to take that arm up. And I want you to think about lengthening out of this space. Big inhale up, and then exhale coming forward. So notice when I come forward, now my knee is directly over the middle of my foot. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Good, I'm going to push back. We're going to do that one more time. So again, toe tucked. Inhale up, lengthen, 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 lengthen out of the side of that body. Inhale. Exhale, come forward. And then here, take 3 more breaths. Big inhale. Exhale, getting that nice stretch to that back hip flexor. Good. Now we're going to push out of that forward foot. You can untuck the toe here if you want to now target the top of the foot, or if you just need a little break there. That front leg is going to go straight, heel down, pull the toe up, and then we hinge at the hip. So if you need to, you can put your hands on the leg or your hands on the floor. Try to keep that back nice and flat. What I want you to imagine is the hip crease pulling back and the heel of your foot reaching away. Take 3 breaths. Good. Come on up. And I want you to, again, reach the heel into the floor. Imagine somebody kind of tugging into that hip crease. Come forward, hold, 3 breaths. Good. Coming out of that, we're just going to switch sides, right? So knee down, foot up, finding that 90-90 hold. Okay, my down knee side, that arm goes up, climbs that ladder, up, 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 up. And then I'm going to come forward, making sure that knee doesn't go past the toes. Glute tight in the back, feel that nice stretch on that down knee side. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Good. Push out of that front foot, come back, arm down. Take a breath, and then again, climb the ladder. Inhale up. Exhale, come forward. And then continue to take 3 breaths here. Good. Pushing back. Heel away, toe back. Hip hinge, bringing your chest towards your knee. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Good. Coming on up. Pull the shoulders back, and again, keeping the space nice and tall. We don't want to round through here. We're just hinging at the hip. Hands to the leg, hands to the floor, whatever works good. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Good. Now that we've targeted the hamstrings and the hip flexors, we're just going to spend a little time in down dog here. So pressing the heels to the floor, really focusing on pulling the belly button up and in. Imagine sending your tailbone to the ceiling. Now you can pump the heels like I'm doing here to get a little bit more of that calf stretch. Remember, we press the heels into the floor, and here our opposition is that tailbone reaching up. Or you can just hold here in down dog with both heels pressing to the floor. We're going to stay here for 20 seconds. So just do what works best for you. And next up, we're going to come down to child's pose. Good. Now we're going to come down. Again, you can use that small pillow if you like. Absolutely don't need to, right? And what we're going to do here is what's called our quad. I call it our quad rocker, meaning we're on all fours, not quadricep necessarily. We're on all fours. Belly button's pulled in, back is flat, toes are tucked. Now I'm going to walk my hands forward. Okay, so I'm not right under the shoulders anymore. With the belly button pulled in and back flat, we're going to hinge at the hip, sending the tailbone back to the heels, and we're going to rock here. So we've rolled out those hip joints. Now we're going to add some movement. So this is a hip hinge, right? We're hinging at the hip, hinging at the knee, getting some fluid into those spaces. 10 more seconds here. Good. These little rockers for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Now we're going to send one leg out to the side. So notice my heel is pretty much straight out from my hip. My other knee's still on the floor. My toe is tucked. So getting a little ankle mobility. Now same thing with that one leg extended. We're going to rock hip to heel. And now we're getting a nice stretch to the inner thigh. Good, and 10 more seconds here. Keeping that back flat. Good, and switch, okay? So legs straight out and rock. So I'm gonna stay here so you can see my hip to my heel, hands are forward. I don't have a lot of weight in my hands. Think about that hip or weight staying through my hips and my core, rocking back. And if you can notice, my foot is flat, toes pointed forward, getting that nice inner thigh stretch. 10 more seconds. Good. All right. So we're going to come all the way down to a seated position. And again, if you want to, you can certainly use your pillow here to sit on it. If that's comfortable to you, use it however you need to. So we're going to start with a 90-90 sit position. Right? I'm going to sit with my right foot folded in, my left foot folded back. So notice my left knee is at 90 degrees and my front knee is also bent at 90 degrees. Okay? I'm going to position my torso so that I'm going to come straight over the front of my shin here. And as I do that, think about just making an active stretch, pulling those toes up a little bit. So we're going to come down here. Okay? So a modified pigeon. Big inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Now we're going to come back up. I want you to turn your torso so that you're coming over the front of that thigh and coming down here. Good, and we're going to come up and we're going to turn our torso. So now we're angling over that ankle and come forward. If this doesn't feel good to you, just go back to that center position. And 3 breaths here. Good, and then of those 3, okay, over the ankle, middle, or over that front knee, front thigh, pick the one that feels best to you, that you get that best stretch in, and take 3 breaths there. Good, coming up, and we're going to take that back leg, bring it to the front, and what I want you to focus on is pulling that knee into your chest, and then trying to keep both hips on the floor if possible, as much as possible, okay? So we're going to just pull the knee in, open the shoulders, lift the chest, okay? So don't worry about the turn so much. If you have the turn, you can add it, but I want you to focus on first is just pulling that knee in, opening the shoulders, lifting the chest, and then if you have a little bit of rotation, you can add that for 3 breaths, targeting this outside hip space. Good. Now we're going to switch. So the leg that you're holding in front is now going to be your front leg, and the other one goes in back. And again, we're back to that 90-90. 90 in the front, 90 in the back. Big inhale, exhale, come forward, right into that middle space, right over the shin. Good. Coming back up, turning your torso so it's lining up with the front, with that thigh. Coming down. Good. Walking back up and now turning your torso. You're coming over that ankle or back to the middle if that feels better to you. 3 breaths. Good. And then coming up, your favorite of those three positions, whether it's straight up in front over the shin, over that front knee, or over the ankle. Hinge with the hip, come forward. Good. Coming back up, now it's this leg's turn to come to the front. Okay. So bringing it in, and remember we're going to hug it. I want you to really think about just kind of pulling it into your chest as much as you can, keeping this back hip from really lifting too far up, right? Trying to keep it down. So shoulders back and down, chest up, give it a big hug in here. You have a little rotation. You can add it there. And 3 breaths. Okay. Big inhale. Again, we're targeting that outer hip space. And nice stretch through there. Good. All right, so we're down to less than 5 minutes, and I want to finish with legs up the wall. So we're just going to finish up with a little bit of, I'll call it a stirrup stretch. It targets the outer hamstring, outer quad space, as well as the hips. So we're going to finish there, and I'm actually going to turn this way so you can kind of see. And this is where you can use your strap, okay? You can use your strap around your foot. And this is our regular hamstring stretch we're very familiar with here, okay? This other leg, knee can be bent, foot can be flat, or it can be extended out, whatever feels good to you. So this is where I want you to be first, okay? Using your strap or not using your strap, heel over hip, toes to the nose. Take a big inhale, exhale. Make sure this hip is on the floor, it's not reaching away. Go ahead and just one more breath. Okay, so now this is what I want you to see from this angle. I'm going to take my heel in towards the center of my body. So almost finding that 90-degree bend we just had in our sit. And then I'm going to take it out and up. Okay, so I'm going to go in and then out and up. And you can use that band to kind of help you pull in and then having that band press away as you go out and up. Okay, again, targeting the hip and the outer hamstring, outer quad space. Okay, yes, you can do this with your hand, okay, if you have that mobility. So we're here, foot rotates in, and we're here, leg extends out. Good, let's just do 4 more here. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Hold here, whether it's with your foot or your hand, or your strap, I mean, and just let that leg kind of come out a little bit. Take 3 breaths. Good. Now we're going to bring that leg back in and switch to the other side. So again, strap on or strap or towel on your foot, right? Heel to ceiling, toes to your nose, focusing on that hip staying down. Give yourself a little bit of a stretch here just to get that nice lengthening through the middle of the hamstring, okay? So that middle space. And then we're going to do that inside to outside pattern, okay? So bringing that heel in and then sending out, up, and away, okay? Bringing it in and then sending out, up, and away. And really finish at this end point here, really reaching away. Good, we're going to just do 4 more. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Good. So you can take that strap off or you can keep it for happy baby. So with happy baby, Goal is to get the bottoms of the feet to the ceiling, okay? Quads parallel with the floor if that's possible, either using your hands, your strap, or both. Doing a little rock side to side, and I want you to focus on that tailbone, pressing down into the floor, okay? Just a little happy baby, and happy baby you can hold if you're using your hands. Hold on the inside of the foot or outside the foot. You want to extend one leg as you rock. You are welcome to do that. Good. All right, so you can stay in happy baby if that feels great to you. If not, we're just gonna finish here, last couple minutes with legs up the wall. Now legs up the wall can look here, look like this, 90-degree bend in the hip and the knee. You can walk your hips closer to the wall and get your legs up here. Get a little bit more, a little better drainage here. You feel like you just need to let the legs hang out, give them a little reverse gravity so they get to hang out above the head here for a while. You can move them in and out, whatever feels comfortable. I encourage you to take your arms out in a T, maybe overhead to a Y, maybe even overhead here, whatever feels comfortable, and focus on your breath. So remember, the breath that we want to focus on is starting with the belly, taking that inhale through the diaphragm into the lungs and expanding that rib cage. And then on the exhale, reversing that process. Finish with a little contraction, pulling the belly button into your spine, pulling your pelvic floor up towards your center. Okay? So big inhale. I'll take you through a couple, and then I encourage you to stay here, wherever your comfortable position is, and focus on your breath for a few more minutes, even after I sign off. Okay? I'll take you through 3 reps here. Big inhale, starting in the belly. And then take it in through that diaphragm, underneath the rib cage, allowing that diaphragm to expand into the lungs, allowing those lungs to expand into the rib cage. I want you to feel those ribs move apart from each other. Really expand, filling up that space, and then exhale. Feel like you're pushing the breath back out the way it came. Finishing with the belly button pulled into the spine, pelvic floor pulled up to your center. And release. So that was super, super slow. Just slowed it down just to give you the idea. Big inhale. Belly. Continue to inhale through the diaphragm. Continue to inhale through the lungs. Fill up in the entire lung space, into the ribs. And then reverse it back. A little bit of pull in and up at the end. And this is where I encourage you to continue with your breath. As I sign off, slow down the breath. Try to time the inhale and the exhale so they're about the same length. Focus on your body and what it does to truly fill up and give you a nice big breath, and then exhale. I'm going to sign off. Continue to encourage you to stay in this space. Thank you for coming today.